Oh, okay. I just had a
Yeah, this is
quick
commercial,
question on
commercial
this.
use, yep.
So this is commercial use, it gotta be fenced in the parking lot and stuff like that? Okay.
Whatever, yeah, these are just additional design standards to whatever the normal
Okay,
commercial requirements would be.
okay.
So, I have a couple of questions on it.
Yep.
The first one is about the parking. It says 1 space per 300 square feet of sales area. Most of these places, if it's a car repair place, it has room for a desk and 2 people to sit and wait or something like that. Does
Yeah,
that seem adequate spacing? Or should it say service bays or something like that?
It
Or
does say service bay plus.
plus 1 space per employee on the largest shift, plus
So if you got
one,
4 mechanics,
plus 1 space per service bay.
so it's covering it because it's 1 per service bay, and 1 period for most of them for their sort of sales area.
Yeah, and 1 space per employee
Oh
on the
yeah, I got
largest
the
shift,
employee
yeah.
part of it. The only part that I didn't understand was the 1 per 300 square feet of sales area.
Well, I guess
I
it
mean,
depends
all the
how
ones I
much.
go to around here, the sales area is like
Yeah.
that big.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You
So-
stand at the counter, there's 2 seats for you to sit if you're picking up or waiting.
So what you're saying though, that, are you calling, say the garage, the shed is garage,
Mhm.
if it's room enough for 4 vehicles, say they have
4
three,
bays.
3 hoists and 1 maybe, so
Yeah.
now they have enough, they have to have for enough for 4.
Yeah, if there's,
Oh,
if
okay.
there's 4 work bays,
If
it
there's
would
only
be,
2, then there's 2.
that would be 2, yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know how that, cause that 300 square feet, that kind, I caught that too, but it didn't make a lot of sense, but yet,
Yeah, once you get to the end, it requires 1 space per service bay.
but it could be 300 feet if you're counting like their parts building over there, and then you're counting their washroom, if you're counting the square footage of the whole building, then that makes a difference, and that's what my thought was, is I wanna make sure what that was too, so then it, I kinda missed that.
Okay.
The other thing I had was just things about like the outside storage of vehicles or parts must be completely screened. I get that if it's a parts vehicle, but I don't know what this means. So I bring my car there for repairs. I come talk to you today, you say, yeah, bring it, you say, bring it today, we'll work on it tomorrow.
Mhm.
All the cars have to be behind a fence? Or are they
Or
allowed to be
behind the,
parked?
or behind the building where they'd be outside of the main roadway, or
They can't be
screened.
parked along the parking lot?
No, they wouldn't be parked out front. Anything that is there for repair would be parked. Yeah, vehicles or parts must be completely screened. So it would be any vehicles that are there for servicing would have to be parked behind the building or,
I don't agree with that. I mean, I agree with it when it's a junk car and they're keeping it for parts or something, I get that.
well, I mean, you're talking, this
You're
also,
taking your car in
now,
for-
make sure that you're also understanding, this also includes collision services. So this
Okay.
includes cars that could be heavily
Waiting for
damaged.
parts.
So could we
Waiting for
possibly,
parts.
Yeah,
could we have possibly 2 categories then or something? Or, I get what you're saying, but geez,
Right.
I'm bringing my car in for tire rotation and a new muffler tomorrow.
right.
Now they gotta park it on the back field somewhere.
I'm just trying to think of any service garage that we have around here right now that does that.
Yeah, 15 right
Nobody.
there. What's that?
Yeah, they do a 15, and, yeah.
They don't park them behind the fence or building.
No, they don't. They just
No,
park
but
out
he
there.
parks them alongside and out back there.
It doesn't look bad.
Huh?
You don't park them out by the road and make it look like crap.
But he's not new.
Well, yeah, but we have to use that as an example when we're talking about
You're talking about auto tech out there?
it. Yeah.
Protest.
Yeah, I use them as a mechanic, and there's been times my vehicle has sat there, not out back or anything,
Yeah.
like you said, waiting for parts,
Yeah.
so.
I get it if it's a wreck or something,
Right.
maybe not. Maybe there is a line here somewhere, I get that, but I just think that's a little too strict.
But you're also now talking about taking up parking space.
That's
At the
why,
same
that's
time,
why I question the minimum amount of parking spaces, I don't think it's enough.
Well, but you're delineating, these are storage versus parking for the purpose of being there doing business.
I consider storage, it's just my opinion, but I consider storage when, hey, I had a car I took to a shop that needed a whole lot of things. So the mechanic gave me a list, and I said, okay, pull the trigger on this, this, and this. A couple of months down the road, or a month down the road, do this and this. He had to go a long time, that should be stored out back, I get it. But my car comes in for some stuff, and doggone it, he couldn't get the muffler I needed until day after tomorrow. Now mine's gotta be up in the backfield somewhere, I don't like that.
Oh, you want them always be up front? It wants your attention, I see.
Yeah.
Wants a short walk.
Right.
To back there, to your
There you
right.
go.
There.
Well, but there's
I mean,
nothing,
you're in
there's also
business.
nothing saying that the vehicles can't be moved up front for retrieval. This is
I
just
think it's an
long-term storage.
unnecessary burden on a business though. I don't like, I mean, the person's in business and they already have to be in a commercial district. I think it's an unnecessary restriction.
Look what you got across the street.
Unless you could figure out a way
Just
to
look
put
at
a
that
time
mess
frame
you
on it,
got.
like, if a vehicle's gonna sit there longer than a week, then it needs to be out back. But how would you track that time? It's been there that long, you know? I don't know.
You got it in front of your hall, what the hang difference it make? It's been like that for a long time. Many of them.
Yeah, but they're not a automotive repair place. They're
No, they're storing, it's
Yeah.
inside, and when that
I
contract was drawn-
understand.
that contract was drawing up, all their stuff except their own personal vehicles were supposed to be behind the fence.
You know, that's like.
When that came to us on
Well,
a planning commission.
you get us the documentation that shows that.
Oh,
Then,
huh?
There's none.
yeah, you get the documentation that proves
That was
that.
all done on a handshake.
See, I know Cars isn't in Vassar Township, but they got a gate that they close over the front, which I think is perfectly fine the way they do it out there.
And they do keep the parts vehicles and the messy vehicles out behind the
Yeah.
building. But other vehicles out parked out front may need parts or repair. They don't know that, but they're not falling apart junk looking cars.
I mean,
Behind their building, there are
what are you,
cars.
what are you suggesting that the wording be then?
Well, I don't know that.
I mean, so are you so you're envisioning something more like a Mike Young's or like a place like that where there's automotive repair with the facility, and then they park right along the side there by the bays, and then they pull the cars in and
Or like
park them
ProTech. I
whatever.
don't see a problem with what ProTech does, that's another example. They're parked along the side of the building. I know when I've been to ProTech, he doesn't like you leaving it out on, he has that like circular drive. He doesn't like it on the outside of that circular drive towards 15. If it's gonna be there overnight, he parks it up parallel to the building usually. I know that because I park on the outside circle.
Right. Let me go to section 724. Let me see what the wording there is. Cause that might move the,
I will point out that it was said, no, it just has to be behind the building, that's not what this says. This says
the screen.
it has to be completely screened from public streets or residential districts. Completely screened is a little bit stricter than just behind the building.
Okay, so what they've got, so what it points you to is section 7.24, which is landscaping and walls. Landscaping standard intent, landscaping, green belts, and screening are necessary for the protection and enhancement of the environment, for the continued vitality of the land use in, which is not the city, it should be township. Landscaping or green belts are capable of enhancing visual environment, preserving natural features, improving property values, and alleviating the impact of noise, traffic, and visual disruptions related to intense uses. It's on page 86 if that's what you're looking for. The purpose of this section is to set a minimum standard for the protection and enhancement of environment through requirements for design and use of landscaping and green belt scope. The requirement set forth in this section shall apply to where landscaping is required under the zoning ordinance, and no site plan shall be approved unless the site plan shows landscaping consistent with the provisions of this section. Furthermore, where landscaping is required, a zoning permit for new construction or expansion shall not be issued until the required landscape plan is submitted and approved, unless provisions set forth in this section have been met or a performance bond has been posted. The requirements for this section are minimum requirements, and nothing herein shall preclude a developer and the township from agreeing to more extensive landscaping. Then it goes into the landscaping design standard, green belt buffer, evergreen screening, where required, evergreen screening shall consist of closely spaced plantings. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that's just mechanical equipment and utilities, including but not limited to blowers, meet the following standards: rounding, landscaping regulations, planting material, screening walls. An obscuring wall, fence, or buffer feature shall be provided and maintained to screen incompatible uses from commercial and industrial uses or site features as referred in this article. The height of the wall or fence shall be from the surface of the parking lot area or land to the non-residential side of the wall based on the standard of the following. Yeah, I mean,
I
it's...
get all that.
Yeah, I'm just
my
trying to see if
problem-
there's anything, like, if it calls out, like, any other
Yeah.
specifics.
So my issue doesn't come into the adjacent to residential.
Yeah.
Yes, they have to do their screening and all that, just like every other business. But you're talking about a commercial business in a commercial district, why do they gotta be screened from the road? Now, that being said, I do understand if it's wrecked or salvage vehicles or something like that, they could be behind a privacy fence or screen. I have no issue with that.
That's why it almost has to be a time thing. If it's gonna be in your parking lot for more than 5 days, then it needs to be put out back. But then the thing is, how do you, I mean, you're not gonna drive by there every day and say, hey, it's been there 40 days.
They'd be on the honor system for that, and occasionally they might
Right.
pick up. You know, occasionally there's one for a 6th day, whatever, big deal. But if it's there for 20 days, you'll get caught.
Right.
You get where I'm driving at? I don't
I-
like putting this unnecessary burden on a commercial business in a commercial district. They have to follow the other rules, screening from residential. I have no argument with that, and all businesses have to. I just don't understand why you gotta screen your business from the public in a commercial district, and you're in business from being in business, you wanna be seen.
The description sounds like it's protecting from, like you said, against residential. I mean, if you're right close to a subdivision, you don't wanna have these vehicles all over, but, I mean, if you look at it and it's in a commercial area, then,
I think the intent is more of the junk
Yeah, but they can't.
or
But
collision. Yeah,
I get that,
Right.
maybe it is, but it's not spelled out that way here,
Right.
so I don't know how we can fix it,
But it
other than to
says they
say.
can't have junk vehicles.
well, I say junk vehicles, I mean ones that are, like,
You get
In
into
a
your
commercial.
accident, it's all ripped
Yeah.
up, it's gonna be there for 30 days till they.
not junk as in it will not ever move, it is literally only there to pull whatever salvageable parts.
Could be waiting for an insurance company to pick it up and claim, and they
Yeah.
sit by it too.
And those should be behind the fence, I have no issue with that. I mean, if you use Cook's as your example for that, you take your car there because it gets in a wreck,
Yeah.
they put it behind their fence,
Mhm.
it's insurance.
These are all wrecks over here.
It's a whole different argument.
Yeah, they all should be behind. Charlie always kept that up.
It's,
Again, we're talking two different things. That's a wrecker service, not a general automotive repair place.
they don't fit this law anyhow.
Yeah,
You don't think you don't think that follows that, huh?
No,
It's- they're
Says-
not a general automotive repair. We're talking general automotive repair. That
It
is
does
a
say
different,
frame fender, it does say repair.
yeah. We're talking like, was it McKay's or whatever that used to be uptown there. We're talking
Maze is
Cooks
still
to a
there,
certain
it's just
extent,
all
yeah.
master collision.
Yeah, whatever it's called now, yeah.
And they don't actually, now that they've redone a few things, I don't know, but they didn't have a fenced-in screened area, but they did park their cars on the backside, which
Backside.
only had a few trees protecting them from the very close residents.
Right,
It wasn't a big green belt either.
right.
One neighbor didn't like that, so she paid for the fence herself to put a privacy fence up.
I think that if we do it, just so that there is some type of compromise to say, if it's gonna be there longer than 5 days, it needs to be out back. I mean, that way if somebody is complaining, we have some place to look at to see what exactly is going on.
But why 5 days?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't like a timeline. You want to define it as, like, if the vehicles meet these types of features.
yeah, that's the way I would agree better than the days, because the days would be screaming articles.
You also got a hard time defining what's junk. What's junk to you might not be junk to me.
Well, wrecked, you could
Not
more
drivable?
generically, wrecked or salvage, or, I don't know.
Well,
what
you can't
was
call it salvage.
specific.
You can't really call
Right.
it salvage because C would immediately say, well, you can't have it outside storage of salvaged or junk vehicles or.
If you don't put a day on it, then what's the sense of doing it? Because you're gonna, if you put 5 days on it, you put 7 on it, you put 30 on it, you're back to, oh, well, it's only been here 29 days. And you gotta put some time limit on it. 5 or 7 days is not out of the question.
But all you're talking about is saying, well, it can't be out front of the building for 5 days.
So they
Now
move it to
it's,
the back and then they move it back front.
and then it's out back
I
for
mean,
Yep.
3 years and falls apart and then becomes non-compliant with C. Like, that's a different
But this
conversation.
already doesn't talk about that, it could be there for 3 years already, right?
Yep, it does say that.
As long as it's behind the fence,
Long as it's
or behind the screen.
Well, but then it goes into no outside storage of discarded or salvaged materials, junk vehicles, or junk parts. So,
Yeah.
once it becomes a junk vehicle, because it sat there so long,
Yeah.
And repair shops do always get one where somebody brings it in for a repair, then doesn't have the money to pay the bill, so it sits there a long time till they pay it off. And some, they end up getting the title and getting rid of it later by themselves.
Engine swaps, so, you know.
I think there is also, remember, there is some leeway that we have on these, as long as they're like equivalent when we're talking about how it's being, what the requirements are. There is some leeway built into this where we could say, like, yes, if you are only doing auto body repair, like, it has to be in a screened area. If this is a automotive repair place and the vehicles are in generally in good condition, we would prefer them to be in a screened area if they're going to be there long term, but there is some leeway that you can have them just stored out in the parking lot as long as it's not impacting the parking of your
Sure, it would have to be
customers.
extra spaces.
But there is some leeway built into this ordinance from when we were doing it. I don't know that there is a good way to change that wording where it doesn't sound like, where we make it so specific that then somebody goes, well, I've only got to do it if it's been in an auto accident. Well, this wasn't in an auto accident, it rusted out, so now I can store it out front because the panel fell off because it rusted out, not because it was in an accident, right? Like, I think if we try to define it too deep, if we try to define it too deeply, somebody's going to be like, well, I'm in compliance because this is what this says specifically.
Well, maybe we could put a pin in that one and think about how we could reword it. That would be
Yeah.
I'm
on
agreeing with Todd for at least putting a time limit on it. Well, that's maybe just me and Todd. That would be something that we could vote on or something that we could interject into this, especially if that's 3 or more agree to it. And that's what goes in this figure. Whether you agree with it or whether I agree with it, maybe, no time or 30 days or whatever, you should have something in there, 'cause I just think.
Something enforceable.
I think something to give him a little leeway that, look, it's been here, you got 7-foot weeds growing around, it's been here. So, all I'm
Okay,
saying.
if it's got 7-foot weeds growing
I know that
around
goes
it,
into
it
the-
violates a completely
I
different ordinance.
knew as soon as I said that, I was in trouble, but.
So, if you want, in the interest of moving
I knew
on,
it. I got hung up on that one.
in the interest of moving on, my note says, can we put a pin in it? everybody think about how we can reword it or whatever, and I put question mark, time limit, question mark, condition, something like that.
Why can't we handle time limit now?
Because we're going back and forth on it, I don't know. We spent a lot of time on it, it's only the very first description.
Well, it's not always, but.
It's up
I
to
may
you.
say, I'm not set on 5, it could be 7, but I think there
Well,
needs to be a time thing, which
That's the thing, like,
5
what
business
seems,
days you could even say.
what is considered a reasonable amount of time?
I say 7 days. Anybody else, do I have to make a motion for that?
I mean, we can.
I'll make a motion that 7 days minimum
Before you,
to be part of this here, to where you can have some sort of a timeline here to start with, so we got proper paperwork that can be.
that was way too wordy for her to read, right, so
Right.
here's what I was about to
Understand.
interject. We've not done this by motions in the past.
Right.
So that's why I asked.
That's,
We just
I would
vote.
suggest not making it a motion, but that's my opinion, and if you wanna follow through, you gotta help her with that wording, because that was not right.
Well, I tried to see what we're gonna do.
It can be done by a show of hands, if we settle
don't
on a
need a
number to
motion.
try.
I didn't think we did either, but.
So vehicle,
I just wanna know which way you wanna do it. If
Right, you gotta
wanna
set a
do
number
it,
to talk about that.
right,
let's
7
do
days.
7 days. I would agree with 7 days. I'll
I agree
okay
with
with
7
that.
days. All right, so there's 2.
Ben? Gloria?
So no time limit, huh?
Well, you don't know that yet, you're waiting for the tiebreaker. He dumbly asked all of us first, puts him in the hot seat.
Well, no, I didn't do that.
That was a joke, Kevin,
Yeah.
relax. He's wishing he didn't do himself last now.
I just think that
No.
that is better than what is in here now, and if we could always go back and
You
change
can
it
have a
later. if we want.
circumstance on
Well,
there.
We-
where
time
Just
limit is
remember-
better than what it
Just
is right
remember,
now.
if we put it in there, and then it goes through all the process of approving it, if we wanna change it in the future, that's almost 3 months worth of time to change it, because we gotta have a public hearing, we gotta send it to the county, we gotta then take it to the board of trustees. So if we're gonna do it, like, I wanna make sure that we're,
The other option is, if we put a pin in it and we each think about it, come back with a plan, it's not the same as if we make a change today, and we agree on that change by 3, and then any one of us, including one of the 3, says something different a month from now, somebody in this room is gonna say, oh, right, we're gonna beat it to death every month now?
Yeah, we are, and that's exactly what
But
you're
if
doing.
you put a pin on it, you've got weeks or months to think about it and come back with it.
I just think
still.
it's better than what we have here right now, and if we put a pin in it and come back a week or whatever,
Still kicking.
it's gonna be the same thing.
You're still
as far
kicking
as I
it
can
down
see.
the road, and you're still, just like Devin
Okay.
says, he's right, we'd have to do it, but at least you have something to start with, and you can move on with this stuff that we've been working on for 2 years. We'll never agree on everything, but it's something, that's real vague, I agree with him, I think that's very vague.
I don't know that it's vague, I think.
A little more teeth, how's that, get a little more teeth in it, how's that?
I mean, I don't like 7 days, but I mean, I would go for a longer period of time. Cause I mean, shit, I've had cars take 3-4 weeks to get fixed, and they're in and out of the bay, so. Like, when does that 7 days start? Is it somebody monitoring it 24 hours a day, saying that it's been sitting there, or?
So your example is you're talking about a car that's getting work done,
Right,
but it's taking a period of time to do
Yeah,
it. So
they
have
get
to pull it
parts
out of the
in.
bay because they need the bay to work on his today.
right.
You could even make it 7 business days, which is gonna give you about a week and a half.
Yeah, but how are,
When does the time start?
The time, well,
When it
It's-
comes in and out of the bay, so.
when it becomes a problem and a neighbor or somebody's complaining about it, then we got something we can look at and say, okay, it's here, it's not moved. 7 days after that, now I know for sure it was there, so it's gone.
Well, I admit I don't have the answer, but I think moral and condition of the vehicle would be the example. I don't have the proper wording, that's why I wanted to put a pin in it and come back with better wording.
I just don't know what, I mean,
I mean, again, a wrecked car is different than
Yeah,
my truck that needs a major repair, I'm gonna have 30 days before I can come up with the money for that new engine or something. And I can't drive it, so it's sitting there.
I mean, even me as a business, if I was a business person and I don't want a wrecked car sitting out in front of my place for 2 weeks either, you know? So you're gonna want it in the back.
I just am not sure on the proper word.
Right, or yeah. It's gotta be enforceable, whatever we do, but it's, like I said, at least if there's a complaint, somebody files a complaint, you can go up there, this is the car in question, and you go back 7 days later, and it's still there, then you can say, yeah, you're right, it shouldn't be there.
alright, here's what I'm gonna do. Since it is tied, I'm gonna just make a note, potentially set a storage time limit. Cause I don't know that I like only 7 days. So potentially set storage time limit from unscreened area to, I'm gonna say up to 7 calendar days or 7 business days?
No business days,
7 business days?
usually.
Okay. I'll put that note in there, and I definitely think we should go back and think about the, like Ben saying,
Other
think about the
options.
wording. What is going on here?
Ain't no difference whether it's a day or 2 weeks from now or 6 months from now, he's still gonna have to get it, he's gonna have to reach an agreement. Period.
Okay, we've got at least, we've got a point to start. Let's, next time, come back with, if there's some wording that makes,
More sense.
either makes sense to not have the 7 days, or if the 7 days is the answer, try to figure that out. Grocery store, retail establishment, primary selling pre-packaged and perishable foods, as well as other convenience and household goods. So 1 square foot, or 1 space per 350 square feet of usable floor area, plus 1 space per employee on the largest shift. For the parking, there is no design standard outside of that, other than whatever would be normally required. Health or fitness club, health club or fitness center, facility where non-members use equipment or space for the purpose of physical exercise or physical fitness or wellness activities. 1 parking space for 3 persons allowed within the maximum occupancy load as established by local, county, or state fire, building, or health codes, plus 1 space per employee on the largest working shift. No additional design standards. Anybody any problems with that? If not, then we'll go to the next page. So, indoor entertainment uses for recreation completely contained within the building. Such uses include bowling alleys, indoor archery ranges, ice skating rinks, roller rinks, arcades, golf simulators, and other similar uses as determined by the planning commission. 1 space for every 3 persons of maximum capacity, plus 1 space per employee. Then no additional design standards. Anything on that? If not, medical clinic, establishment where human patients who are not lodged overnight are admitted for examination and treatment by a group of physicians, dentists, or similar professions. 1 space for each 50 square foot of usable floor area in waiting rooms, plus 1 for each examining room, dentist chair, office, or similar use area.
Now, I'm not sure, but sometimes these don't seem like near enough, and sometimes that seems like, man, that's a lot of parking spaces. And this is one of the ones I think that, but I don't know that that's right or wrong. I'm just questioning that. Each 50 square feet is a lot of parking spaces.
Yeah, but on
That's
this,
usable floor area, so that includes the waiting room, the
of usable
office
floor
area.
area in the waiting room. It's
So I'm talking
only
about
in
the
the
waiting
waiting room, yeah,
Okay, that makes it think a little bit.
yeah. Plus one for each examining room. And this
Okay.
one does not specifically call out plus one space per employee. So I think they're using that 50 square feet of usable area in the waiting room to also cover the
That's a little
doctors or whatever that are there.
Then I won't argue this too much now, because I didn't catch that, where it's
Yeah.
that waiting area. Somehow I didn't even dwell on that, I don't know why.
Yep.
But then if you include doctors and nurses, and maybe it ain't enough all of a sudden again, but I don't wanna argue that right now.
Yeah.
That just changes what I was thinking, because I missed a couple of words somehow. Move on.
Anybody else? If not, then mini storage building, self-storage units designed and used for the purpose of renting or leasing individual storage space to tenants for the purpose of storing personal property. One space for each 30 units that do not have direct access from outside the building or directly from a vehicular aisle within the building. 3 for the office or residence, and 1 for each employee on the largest working shift. Doors providing access to individual storage units shall not be permitted on the front yard side of the building. Vehicular aisles providing access to units shall be no fewer than 30 foot wide. There shall be no storage of hazardous, I think we had discussed
Yep.
not having previously, and I don't know why it's still in there,
I suggest removing A, so.
because like most of the storage units out here, they've already got doors on the front, and it's literally, I know when Alex was here, he basically just said in other municipalities, they're doing it just so when people are getting in and out of the storage units, you don't see into the storage unit from the roadway. And I mean, we haven't had that stipulation before. I don't know if,
I don't see a use
yeah,
of it. And that's the way they make smaller units too.
right,
So the units on the side are usually the smallest to biggest, but then they have a little lot
Yeah.
smaller on the
Yeah.
front wall sometimes. People that don't need a lot of storage.
is
They
everybody,
don't wanna do that down the length because they can't get the depth, or they would be giving too much depth.
right. Everybody kind of in agreement to remove stipulation A?
I'd say remove it.
Bob?
Okay, well, I think we should kick it down the road again.
Remove A. Remove A. Alright, so then hotel and motel series of attached, semi-attached, or detached rental units containing a bedroom, bathroom, and closet space. Units shall provide for overnight lodging and are offered to the public for compensation. One space for each unit plus 50% of the parking area required on the basis of accessory uses such as a restaurant or bar. Ingress and egress shall be provided as not to conflict with the adjacent business use or adversely affect traffic flow on a major thoroughfare. Each unit shall contain no less than 200 square feet of floor space. Guests shall not establish residence for more than 30 days within any calendar year. Yep.
First and foremost, let me preface this with, I don't see this as a major problem in our township. I don't believe the Hyatt's coming.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I don't agree with 30 days within a calendar year. I can't afford to take no 38-day vacation. That doesn't mean there aren't people out here that do. And secondly, there are people that go vacationing per se being near family. 30 days in a year means they can't come spend 2 weeks 3 times.
There's a lot of hotels.
hold on,
that are
though.
going there as
It's-
a rental unit. rather
I
than-
understand that
Yeah.
side of the argument as well.
Yeah.
It's established residence, not vacation. So there is a
Yeah.
like, you're establishing residence.
Yes,
I
shall
think
not
that would
establish
be-
residence for more than 30 days. In this case, it has to mean you can't stay there more than 30 days, so therefore you can't establish residence. I guess that's what it must mean.
Or if you have your address
I mean, if
changed
you're
there,
ch-
get your mail there.
That means you establish
Right.
residence.
Right.
And if it said 30 days at a time, might be a little different. But I'm using the family example, because that would be probably the most realistic reason in this area. Not somebody coming here to vacation and stay there for 4 months in a hotel. But your family's coming to town to be near you, and they want to come 3 times a year, a couple weeks at a time. This throws that out. Or they want to come 5 times a year and
I don't
spend
think
8
this-
days.
I don't think this does, because now, remember, like, some of the places that we've had issues with people staying in
that.
non-approved buildings,
But that's not.
you
this.
have to establish residency to say that they are living there. I believe because this says not established residence, they're basically talking about like the motel on the other side of town, where there's
I totally
people
get that.
long-term staying there, and that is their residence because of whatever reason. That is, I believe, why that not established residence is there, for more than 30 days in a calendar year. So you can still, that does still mean you could
Come as often
you
as
can
you
come
want.
as often as you want.
I could spend 29 days there, come back in 2 weeks, spend 29 days there.
Yes,
In your opinion.
because you're not establishing a residence. You're not saying, this is where I'm living. This room is now become where I live. This is where I get mail directed towards. Like, that is what is that word, or that series of words, established residence, is what is
Well,
excluding your example.
yeah, but then why do they word it the way they did? Why don't they just say guests shall not establish residence? But they're saying for more than 30
Well,
days.
because-
So it's
because
okay for
you
me to
could-
establish residence, get my mail there for 29 days, but not.
Because in some cases, like let's take the motel uptown for example. Let's say you have a house fire. You can establish residence there for the month because you're waiting for your house to get remodeled or whatever. So you could stay there for 30 days. And establish like, hey, mail needs to get forwarded here. Anything over that, then you have to figure out a longer term solution. For the purposes of just visiting or vacationing or whatever, as long as you are not establishing saying like, this is where I currently live for a period of time.
I like the restriction the way it is. I mean, if you're a family member and you're coming up 2 weeks, 3 times, and you're not close enough to stay with them, then
Yeah.
you.
I think
Well,
that
I think
is
it's
the
all
difference.
defensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some households are pretty full.
Right.
Right, but I think that is the difference, is because you're not establishing that as your residence.
I guess I'm not sure about that wording. It doesn't make sense to me that the way they word it, but
I mean,
that's the way
we
you
could,
feel. I'll put a pin in it for me, and I'll look into that a little more.
I mean, yeah,
But that's my only,
yeah.
you know,
I mean,
I'm
I
not against all
feel-
the other rules, and again, I don't see a giant motel coming here, but another little one might, sure.
And, I mean, I could see a small roadside motel type thing, but that's about it. I mean, if you look and you find that our interpretation of established residence is incorrect, then by all means, we'll revisit it. But I do believe that
Okay. I got what
that
you're
is the
saying.
case, yeah.
I'm not saying I agree or disagree, I
Right.
don't know. I'll
Okay.
think about that angle.
All right, well then we'll move on to the next page, office buildings. Building used primarily for offices that may include ancillary services for office workers. Common uses include but not limited to executive, administrative, professional, accounting, writing, clerical, stenographic, drafting, and sales. One space for each 200 square foot of usable floor space, and then no design standards beyond that. Anybody with a problem with that? If not, then we'll go open air business or sales lot. Any business when said business is not conducted from a wholly enclosed building or storage building and includes sales of building materials, plants, outdoor furniture, playground equipment, and other similar uses. This does not include vehicle sales. 1 space per 500 square foot of outdoor display, sales, and storage area, plus 1 space per 200 square foot of usable floor area of indoor space, plus 1 space per employee on the largest working shift. Okay, so ingress and egress points shall be located at least 60 feet from right-of-way intersections of any 2 streets. Only sales by the resident business occupying the site are permitted. The outdoor sales display area may not occupy the street right-of-way, parking, loading, driveway, or landscape area, and shall not result in hazards for vehicles or pedestrians, and shall be shown on an approved site plan. All outdoor lighting shall be shielded from projecting onto or into an adjoining residential district. It shall not interfere with driver visibility or public right-of-way. On all sides of the lot adjacent to the residential district, there shall be provided a buffer, wall, or fence consistent with section 7.24. There shall be no strings of flags, pennants, or bare light bulbs permitted. No merchandise for sale shall be displayed within any required setback area. There shall be no broadcast of continuous music or announcements over any loudspeaker or public address system. Resident businesses may conduct outdoor sales of products not customarily sold by the business without prior site plan approval for the 2 weeks prior to and including the following holidays or events: Independence Day, Halloween, and Christmas. The only thing that I had a question about was F.
Yeah, that's what I was just.
Can we start at the top at A real
Yeah,
quick first then?
Go ahead.
And A is only, I just wanted to, I know we went over this exact line on several others. Does this agree with the way we decided?
Yes, we moved everything to 60 foot.
Thank you. I thought so, but I wanted to make sure I was right. And then B, I don't understand B in the sense I don't know exactly what kind of business. I know it won't be a car sales. But
No,
what if it's a flea
so
market type of thing and there are different people there? I don't understand how it can't be other people. I don't know what it
well,
means.
I mean,
Only sales by resident
generally,
business occupying this site. I guess that means if I occupy it, she occupies it, we each have a booth there, you can't bring an item into one of us to sell for.
yeah, I mean, I believe that would be like, so for your example, a flea market, it would be, you would be leasing.
I have a space.
Yeah, you have a space that you're
So now
leasing,
I'm
so you'd
legit.
be a resident a resident business of the property.
But I wouldn't hypothetically be able to sell an item on consignment for you.
I mean, that would be
Or would that be
hard.
okay because it's me still?
Yeah, it would be you doing
I
it.
just didn't understand
Yeah.
that, that's all. I don't have a problem with it if I understand it.
I believe what they are talking about there, that my interpretation of it was like, you own the business, you're doing the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then Gloria comes in and wants to sell
Maybe
something else.
Maybe puts one of those breadboard signs on and starts walking around selling stuff. That would be
Right.
against this.
Yeah, selling something else that is not part of the original approved site plan. Like, so, like a flea market, you'd be putting on the site plan, like, hey, we're running a flea market, people have to rent out, they're leasing a space, da-da-da-da. It's not like I mean, they already carve out the exception for like fireworks stands, but it would be something like that. It's something not done by the person that owns the property or has rights to sell on the property, I guess, yeah.
Move on to, oh, no, E, I had a question on E just a second.
That's the green space buffer that we
Yeah.
always have for residential.
My question was that it meant a green belt, right?
Yeah,
I just wanted to be sure. Green
Yeah.
belt as we describe it in the other 7 points.
yeah, it's just called landscaping and
Okay.
screening.
So I don't have a problem
Yeah.
with that. I just kind of was questioning in my own head.
Yep.
And then I also questioned F, so go ahead.
I mean, the only thing I could there that my question was with the bare light bulbs. I mean, yes, you're supposed to screen the lights and all that, but is it really just referring to like temporary signage where it's like the bright flashing bulbs? The pennants in that, I would just say like they can't be a permanent fixture. Like you could have them for temporary sale, like sales and specials and all that, but you could not have, like some places, like there's a place out in Bay City, the pawn shop out there, they've always got a pennant flag flying out front for, you know, saying that's a pawn shop or anything like that. Well, that should just be permanent signing, it should follow the signage thing. But but I would make the exception, it's for short term. There shall be no strings of flags, pennants, or bare lights permitted as permanent installations, only permitted for short-term sales or something like that.
Is there a spot where it says like they should be so many feet off the road, because you don't wanna be distracting drivers with these bright
Well,
lights and
it's
stuff.
it does say what it's not supposed to be in the right way or cause. Oh, that's the outdoor lighting. I mean, they're gonna have to be set back off the road anyway. There's
That's what I
already
mean.
there's already setbacks
Yeah,
for that. And you can't be in the right of way. You can't put up stuff in the front yard, required front yard setback, so on and so forth.
as far as the lights, we already got something with that too, we've addressed it with a few other businesses where they're too bright, and we tell them.
Yeah. I would almost go. It should just be not completely not permitted, but it's only permitted for approved sales or something like that. So they would have to come in and get approval to have. I don't like
Again,
that
it's a
either.
business in the commercial district. I don't agree with any of that. A, it shouldn't be there at all. But if it's gonna be there, maybe it should say something like, not permitted to be in disrepair, and I'll use specifically the pennant flags. When I was in business, I bought the better quality ones. They lasted a long time, but when they deteriorated quick. You buy the cheap ones, they start deteriorating about day 3. But if you buy the good ones, they last for 3 to 6 months. But when they start deteriorating, they shred and disappear quickly. But you get lazy and you don't want to replace them. I should do that quicker because they look like crap anyway. They didn't serve the purpose they were for.
I mean, I would.
They shouldn't be in a road right away and all that either.
The bare light bulbs I would keep as not permitted.
The example I used there was Christmas sales. Ain't a lot of them around anymore, but when you used to do the old Christmas tree sales, you strung the string of lights, you know, the hanging bulbs.
Yeah, but
That's
then.
common, that's everywhere. Every year Bay City has a couple of lots.
Right in the corner.
Yeah,
That's bad.
but you would already be in violation of D, because all outdoor lighting shall be shielded from projecting onto an adjoining residential district.
In my interpretation, there's a problem with our descriptions again, because that's these giant lights that are designed to, that's not the same as these. But somebody could exploit that then. And if you get these in 500-watt bulbs or something.
Right.
You put a strobe light up there, mess with all kinds of
Well,
stuff.
I think we already said somewhere you can't do the strobe light, don't we?
No,
It's
that's
in a
the
whole different
sign,
world.
that's the sign, sides can't flash or whatever.
Anyway, and then I also noticed the ironic, because I'm pretty sure it excludes car sales for a reason, you can put up pennants. So you can, but I can't. I didn't go look it up.
Vehicle sales does not say anything about restricting pennant
So
flags
we
and
can
all
put
that. Potentially, yes.
every day, year round. Over here in this part of the lot this time, a month from now it's over here. Tomorrow it's on every antenna of car, and cars don't have antennas anymore, so maybe a little nothing thing now.
I guess that's the main thing I had, there was more of not what it looks like as much as how much does it distract the drivers going by.
Tell me, how many times have they distracted you? They've been a part of your life since you started driving.
I mean, here's the thing to consider though, like it is restricting pennant flags and strings of flags and all that, but it doesn't say anything about like those big inflatable, waving, wacky waiver things. Those are more distracting than any series of strings of flags.
I own one of those too.
Yeah.
I used to put it in front of my business all the time.
I personally would say the bare light bulbs. I get what you're saying with the Christmas sales
That's
and all
an
that.
example I
Yeah.
can come up with in my head right away, but we used to do it in downtown Vassar on the parking lot, or not parking lot, the grassy area right on the west side of the bridge. We used to put Christmas trees there every year, and we strung up those lights.
Yeah, but I would contend that you would be in violation of all outdoor lighting shall be shielded, which I don't know then why they would call out bare light bulbs.
Right.
They used to do it for Christmas, also for pumpkins, Halloween time, they have.
Mhm.
Okay, the other parts I'm for removing out of there. The bare light bulb, I guess I could see one way or the other. So, I guess I could be for completely removing F as a stipulation. We're gonna have, hopefully, we will have an ordinance on, it can't be so many lumens past the property line, which would then address the bare light bulb thing.
The city, these exactly are the same kind of lights the city puts up over Main Street.
Right.
They only put them on when they're having their concerts and things like
Right.
that, usually, or some things at Christmas, I think they
Yeah.
put them on too.
All right, everybody okay with removing stipulation F? Todd? Gloria? Bob? Ben? All right, so we'll remove stipulation F. Remove F. Okay. Outdoor entertainment, any recreational facility where the primary activity occurs outdoors. Examples include mini golf, driving ranges, and amusement parks. One space for every 3 persons of maximum capacity. All outdoor lighting shall be shielded from projecting onto an adjoining residential zone, district, and shall not interfere with driver visibility on public right-of-way. There shall be no broadcast of continuous music or announcements over any loudspeakers or public address systems, which seems weird if one example is an amusement park. On all sides of the lot adjacent to the residential district, there shall be a provided buffer wall or fence consistent with section 7.24. And then that appears to be it. There does not appear to be any other design standards outside of what that would be standard. Anybody with issues on that?
The thing I don't understand is just I don't have a problem with it per se, but like you say, a lot of those kind of businesses, they can't have music playing during their business hours. Is that what it means by continuous? They can, but they can't go after they close or something?
Shall be no broadcasts of continuous music or announcements over any loudspeaker or public address system is all it's saying. So, yeah.
I don't have an argument on this one, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, I think even during business hours, or announcements. I get it for a mini golf or a driving range or something like that, but once you get up into the amusement park thing, Cedar Point always had music playing, but that is a much bigger thing than what we would potentially have here. And we're trying to, and that is way off and away from other stuff, so.
It's just the word continuous. It doesn't, continuous during the day or continuous meaning all night,
Well, you
could
wouldn't,
have a song playing on a space, a song playing.
well, continuous, yeah, it could, yeah, because your announcements are brief, just hey, this
Right.
thing is happening. Continuous music I could get because, even in what we had for a noise ordinance way back, it couldn't be continuous and obnoxious, but you didn't have to be quiet. You had to be quiet after a certain period of time. where I guess, yeah. I mean, since we don't really have a good noise ordinance at this point in time, I would probably say leave this, because by the time we get a proper noise ordinance, we could address this at that time. In agreement? Okay, then we'll move on. Pawn shops, an establishment that engages in whole or in part in the business of loaning money on the security of pledges of personal property or deposits, or conditional sale of personal property, or the purchase or sale of personal property, one space per 300 square foot of usable floor area. Shall be located at least 500 feet from any residential district. Hours of operation shall be no later than 10 p.m. I still don't get the located 500 feet from any residential zoning district, because
Me neither. That's the one question I have on that one. First of all, it's a pawn shop, it's a business, a commercial business in a commercial district. I get they should have a green zone or a buffer zone or whatever between them and the residential, but again, 500 feet, that's silly.
and no later than 10 p.m. So it's not like they're operating all hours. So I would be, I mean, what?
Why can't they just meet any traditional standard setback in that zoning district? Why do they have to be different? What's different about a pawn shop that makes you have to be different?
That's what I'm trying to think of. Like, what is inherently different about a pawn shop? Because, like, for the gun range thing, it's like, okay, I mean, I can see the case that you're making, but that we changed that to be like, it can't be within 500 feet of any existing structure. But even here, that wouldn't make sense, because, like,
I
There's-
see remove it.
I don't really agree with B. I mean, if you wanna run your business 24 hours.
well,
run
I
your
mean, the
business.
only thing there is, the only exception I would make there is that in general, at least the pawn shops that I'm aware of, they are kind of bright and flashy, and they, so you're trying to protect against that kind of stuff. Like, they're trying to attract people to come in to use that type of facility.
So is Speedway and Mobile.
Well,
You know?
yeah, I mean, but so then maybe it's not the hours of operation. Maybe we use the same lighting standards as the other facilities, where it's got to be shielded and can't be a hazard. So
I'll be honest with you, I don't know why I didn't question it, because my standard answer is, why can't they be open in normal business hours that they choose? And I didn't even catch it on this one, so.
yeah, I mean, I could see in a larger city, not because in general, once you get past 10 p.m., the type of activity is questionable. I mean, I think that's what they're looking at, is larger cities is probably why they're putting that time limit on a pawn shop. For us, it doesn't really make sense. So, all right, so I think we're in agreement to remove stipulation A, yes, and then and possibly remove stipulation B, but add the lighting shielding requirements from like the outdoor areas.
I agree with that, yes.
So you think it's okay that business can be out there at 2 o'clock in the morning making noise?
Bar can be open till 2 o'clock in the morning.
I deliberately went to 2 o'clock, because that's the bars I've gone.
But an outdoor entertainment can be, an open air business can be, an office
Yeah, it
building
doesn't
can be,
list
a
any
hotel
time-
motel
it doesn't
can be, a
list
mini
any
storage
times of hours.
can be, a medical clinic can be, an indoor entertainment can be. We didn't put that restriction on any other business.
It's
That-
just this.
I didn't catch on this one though, so I didn't have that argument until somebody else pointed it out. I don't know, I didn't see it.
Yeah, we don't put an hours of operation restriction on any other business. Like I said, I truly believe that restriction comes from major city areas where after 10 p.m., the people utilizing those services, it becomes questionable what they're doing and why they're using it. I don't think for us it makes a sense to have it, especially when we do not put that restriction on any other business.
So you think the business there in front of your dad's place can be running all 24 hours a day then, right?
They can, as long as they were to meet, if we had a
Well,
noise ordinance.
You could have semis in and out of there, and they could be welding, and they can be doing that all,
There's
right?
semis that drive past our house at 3 o'clock in the morning pretty regularly. There's a train that runs through there once in a
That's
blue
something
moon.
that's moving for a short time, that's not something that's sitting there
And
hour
they're-
after hour, night after night. When you're sitting there in the summertime.
Okay,
it's
so you're saying pawn shops are big on
Not
having
necessarily
trucks come
pawn
in and
shops,
sit there and hold up?
not-
Because right now we're talking about pawn shops, and pawn shop is the only thing that we put time restriction on. So
Yeah.
you're saying we should go back and put a time restriction on everybody?
Yeah,
I knew you were gonna get that answer.
I know.
That was a loaded question.
No, it wasn't a loaded question. I knew exactly where it was going.
you betcha. I think people have the right to go to sleep.
Okay, and I would
People have the
argue,
right to sleep in? What time
They
do you
have the
start
right
your
to sleep
semis?
in, whatever.
What time do you start your semis?
Sometimes 7, sometimes
No,
8.
that's not right.
If I hear you talk, you're on the road since 6 AM every time.
I'm just saying, 24 hours a day, it's,
there's no,
It's not
It's-
saying 24
I
hours.
agree with what you're saying as far as they do the normal light restrictions for,
whatever.
that's what I would.
alright. So, remove A for sure. Everybody's in agreement, remove
Yes.
A. Remove A.
Was that all 5 of us removing?
Yeah.
You for removing A too? The 500 foot from residential? Okay. The hours of operation.
Remove it.
Remove it, Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gloria, yes. Ben, you're a yes. Bob, you're a,
If I want to vote, fine, no problem.
so remove B. Now,
Remember that, Ben, when I could wake up and I take my trucks down
So
at
we
the
get
place
a
at
copy
3
of
o'clock in the
the
morning.
business lighting one?
we're gonna, I'm just
I've heard
gonna,
it before, Bob.
I hear 'em more.
but that's driving by, Bob.
No, I won't be driving by.
Well, you just said the train going by or a truck going by on 38 is not a
Now
big
he's
deal.
telling me he's
I
gonna
know.
purposely sit in my
I
front
know.
yard now. I get it.
I get what he's saying, but
So, we're gonna.
it's not necessarily the open air. We're just gonna from other sections establishing lighting, shielding is the note that I'm gonna put in there. Right, but Ben, you good with that? The light shielding,
Yeah,
similar to other sections.
Be shaded just like they should be.
Okay. Todd?
Yeah.
Okay. Add lighting, shielding.
Which means like flashing lights and stuff as well too, correct?
I mean, they don't specifically call that out on anything else, but
Just,
that would be, but the lighting would have, it does say not a hazard to vehicles, which generally flashing lights are considered hazards to vehicles. But it doesn't specifically call it out on any other section either. The only time it gets called out is on signage specifically.
As far as what you are adding, you're gonna have to just take the words from one of the other ones.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna do. I'm just putting a
But my-
note in there.
But my next question would be, or comment would be, why do we have to put that in there? Isn't that already in the ordinance somewhere else? So we don't have to say it specifically on these certain ones?
No, it is,
So any business that doesn't say that can have lights that bother the neighbor in traffic.
I believe.
But I thought we were gonna put that in our ordinance somewhere.
I believe
Which
so.
covers everything.
I mean, we can, I'm putting the note in here. If we don't see it anyplace else, then yes, we should put it in.
I'm
as
talking
a-
commercial.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be taken to residential too, but it's not as big a problem on residential. Certain commercial businesses start at the property.
I mean, it could be-
There already were probably a few before that, but.
Yeah, I mean, it could also, I mean, we've had this, I think we've had this argument before, because like big mercury lights on people's properties, we don't, like I think in the ordinance, if I remember correctly, we set a height that it could be above the ground, but there was no requirement for shielding from the neighbor, so if you wanted to put it on a pole 10 feet off the property line, there is nothing stopping you from that, which then floods your neighbors.
Page 85 is lighting.
means they gotta keep the curtains
What
closed.
page?
85.
of the new draft.
Page 85, you said?
Yeah, it's a little better than
Lighting, all outdoor lighting and all zoning other than residential shall be downward facing and shielded, so there you go. So it is there. So they added, it must just, there's just the extra stipulations in the,
They're just calling it out, but I just didn't know if it's necessary to keep saying it everywhere.
Is that signage? Or is that?
No, it's
signage
not.
is sign,
Security lights, any security
it's
lights? has gotta be-
any lighting. It's gotta be downward facing and shielded.
It's
So-
under the category called lighting, and the first thing is all outdoor lighting in all zoning districts.
Yeah.
Other than residential, it does say other than residential.
Right.
Cause this place goes like,
You bet.
yeah.
Well,
There's a
so
lot.
I see what the difference is. It's all outdoor lighting shall be shielded and shielded from projecting onto or into an adjoining residential district. That's the specific calls out of the wording. So for the pawn shop, that would be what we would be saying, is like it must be shielded from projecting onto adjoining residential property. Where then the other one is it's gotta be downward facing and shielding, but it's not
Okay.
mentioning specifically, I think that's the difference, yeah. Well, no, cause it shall not be visible from all adjacent properties and public right of ways.
Well, at this point, either you add it to this one or you remove it from all of them. So just add it to this one, it's easier.
Yeah, and there's always if they conflict, but I don't think they conflict. Yeah, because that one's more restrictive. All right. Where were we? Okay, so I've got remove A, remove B, add lighting, shielding like other sections, and then we can determine once we get reading through the lighting section if that's even required for the other ones. Personal service establishment, establishment providing non-medically related services, including beauty and barber shops, clothing rental, repair shops, psychic readers, tanning salons. Use may also include accessory retail sales of products related to the services provided. 3 spaces for each of the first 2 chairs and 1.5 spaces for each additional chair. And then it also says C drive-through, because some of these apparently could be drive-through. Anybody with anything on that one? If not, pharmacies, an establishment engaged in the retail sale of prescription drugs, non-prescription medicines, cosmetics, and related supplies. 1 space for each 300 square foot of gross floor area. See section 5.02C for additional design standards. 5. That's just at the end of this. C. Yeah. So in one spot they say refer to drive-through design standards, and in this for pharmacies they're basically referring to the drive-through section in this instead of saying see drive-through. Anybody anything on that?
You mean it says the same thing as C drive-through?
Yeah.
Why did they say
So
drive-through?
personal services says see drive-through.
Which is
Pharmacies.
502?
Huh?
Is that 502?
502 also refers to section, or
Drive-through.
drive-throughs also refer to section 502 as for the design standards. So I don't know why they call it out 2 different ways, but
That's
it
what
is,
I'm asking,
yeah,
right?
it is.
If it's the same,
Yeah.
why are they saying it different?
Private recreation area, a piece of land presently owned or controlled and used by a private or semi-public reason or person, entities, groups, etc. for the activity and or passive recreational purposes. The minimum zoning lot shall be not less than 80 acres, except that the planning commission may permit the use on a smaller parcel of land if the minimum size cannot be achieved because of extraordinary circumstances. Vehicular access to the site shall be directly from a major or secondary thoroughfare.
I don't understand the 8 acres.
I was gonna
at
say,
all.
that's a
Yeah,
lot.
80 acres is a lot of land,
It's a very restrictive ordinance.
especially if you have a group of
Long
people that
before you get to
get
the,
together and play horseshoes.
I don't understand or agree with the 80 acres, it's way too much. I mean, it could depend on the individual thing, maybe they need 80 acres, but the next one only might need 10. Use the old Eagles picnic grounds, which is now a church. That's, I think, not even 20, I think that's like 10 or 12 acres. It was plenty big enough. What was the problem? The only problem ever came in once they paved the giant parking lot as a church, because now they have water problems around there
Right.
that they don't have.
I don't know. I don't know why it's 80 acres. If we want to make it smaller, we can. What's,
I can't even think of any restriction. I mean, it depends on the business or the private recreation. I would assume something like the Eagles counts as a private recreation, right? I don't know. I don't know what a private recreation is. I tried to look for a definition. It's not in here, so.
I mean, based on the fact that it's saying private recreation park, I would guess it's like something similar to, like places down in, near Detroit, where it's a park that you can, like, is semi-privately owned, where you can rent out pavilions, and they've got playgrounds and all that kind of stuff. And I think probably part of the 80 acres here is to act as a buffer, because you got so many different potential activities and, you know, trails and all. I mean, granted, we have a park here that's not,
You want the definition?
yeah,
Private recreational facilities are privately owned, non-public venues designed for leisure, sports, social activities such as fitness centers, private clubs, golf courses, and sports equity.
well, this is a park, because we did have,
They often require membership or fees to access, like swimming pool, tennis courts, gymnasiums, and you can provide specialized services to members.
That sounds more like the campground out on Washburn River.
Except it's a campground too, though.
Well,
But the rest of it could, yeah.
You could call it a recreational park though, because you're not living there, you just go in there for fun.
Examples is MSA Fieldhouse in Grand Rapids, IMG Academy in Florida,
Yeah, Richfield Gun
Plymouth
Club.
Arts and Recreational Complex.
So if it was a hunting club or something, probably they need 80 acres. But if it's someplace that wants to put in a couple tennis courts and a swimming pool, and picnic tables and pavilion are there, why would they need 80 acres? What's wrong with 10 if that's what they want to build? Now, I mean, granted, their scale might not fit on 10, and they need more. Or they've got to downsize, or,
So, meeting rooms, banquet halls, cafes.
so it sounds like, based on what he's coming up with, the reason for the scale is to basically give enough buffer to keep it, like, you could put most everything towards the middle of the property and still have a substantial buffer from other properties. Even though your setbacks don't change, so then the whole 80 acres could be
Yes.
fully developed.
Common private facilities, sports courts, fields, tennis, pickleball, football, soccer.
so, again, I had to just back up pages to make sure I'm right. We are under a commercial use category.
Yeah.
So then it wouldn't be private.
Well, even if it is private in a commercial
Well,
district.
private, I mean,
Again, they'd have to
It's-
follow
it
all
is-
the rules about setbacks and stuff. And green belts if they're abutting a residential, but I still don't see the reason for 8 acres. I think it would greatly depend on what wants to go in. You wanna build 15 pavilions, 3 swimming pools, 15 tennis courts, you ain't fitting on 5 acres, all right?
Well, how do you put that in there, which gives the planning commission the, you know, say, what is needed for a particular business?
well,
Not to
I
mention, we
mean,
wouldn't even have 80 acres in the commercial district anyway, so right away cuts it out.
well, you'd have bunch of properties, yeah.
and then it's a strip. Cause our commercial don't go 8 acres that way, it goes 8
No,
acres down the road.
But if you bought up a bunch of properties and the properties adjacent to it and the back, and you lot line adjust to make it all one property. And you can also, right now, remember, if they're all adjoining, you can use all the properties as if they're one
They're
parcel.
all contiguous.
Yeah, as long as they're contiguous, you can use it all as if it's one parcel.
But we
I
don't
think the
allow
problem-
commercial,
Yeah, I think the problem that you would run into is that you would have to lot line adjust to be able to make it a commercial property that goes, you know, half a mile back off the road.
and that's because our ordinance follows property lines, is the way you're saying? Cause we did it in strips, which means
Well, we
those
have-
acres aren't commercial anyhow.
We have it, the way that our future land use is defined is that it's on 38 and on 15. That doesn't preclude it from going, like, if somebody had a parcel that went from, let's say down here, let's say somebody had a parcel that goes from 38 to, what's the first crossroad? Haynes? No, Haynes that way. Like somebody had a parcel that was a mile long, and we rezoned that parcel as commercial. That whole parcel, if it went road to road,
In
because
the past, we didn't do that though, I'll use the business across the street from you, only their frontage was zoned commercial.
how are you gonna zone just the frontage
I
as
do not
commercial?
know, but it was, and that's why
Because we
cell phone
zoned.
tower never got put on that property, because they weren't zoned commercial for it.
I don't think the way that it's worded, I don't think the frontage is, I don't think it's the frontage considered,
I don't think it was the word frontage, I
Right.
think it was so many feet.
It's all
Or rezone.
property, yeah. it's a-
Yeah, I think the way that it is
No, the
the
lot
property.
went deeper, but they couldn't put the tower farther
But
back.
I think now the way that it is it's the entirety of the lot. If you rezone it, it's the entirety of the lot. So if the lot goes
Okay. I
quarter
get
of a
what you're saying, and
mile,
I
quarter
just-
of a mile
never
or
knew.
half a mile deep off of 38 or 15, then that whole stretch is now commercial.
Doesn't B kind of refer to that? Vehicle access to the site shall be directly from a major or secondary thoroughfare.
Well, I mean, that's
That'd
just
be both
based
those
on
roads anyhow.
But that's what I mean, if it's coming out to a main road, it's saying it goes
what.
all the way
No,
down.
what Ben is saying is if we made the stipulation 80 acres, right now, in theory, there isn't a parcel in the commercial area that we could rezone that would be 80 acres unless they bought up a bunch of property along the road to be able to get to that 80 acres. But there is potentially, well, actually, no, there is one or two farm fields on 15 that you could get close.
So how do you adjust the 80 acres to make it?
I mean, if we were gonna drop, if we were gonna do
drop it to
anything with
10.
I would say I would drop it to 10 acres as a minimum. I was gonna go 10 no matter what. I already had 10 in my mind, Ben. Because I think another one we dropped down to something similar to that. I can't remember which one, but we dropped
I
it.
mean, again, I'll stress, and it doesn't matter whether it's 5, 10, or whatever number. If they want, the scale of what they want to do is gonna dictate, no, it has to be bigger, obviously. Or no, it doesn't. And I don't think it's fair to say 80, so.
I'm
Good with 10?
Also,
You good with 10?
yeah.
You good with 10? You good with 10, Bob? Ben, you good with 10?
You and Ben are agreeing on 10, it'll be 10, for sure, no problem. No problem.
I thought 80
Oh,
was
my.
excessive.
No problem, we got her.
You want it lower?
No, I think 80 is.
I think Bob,
I'm just
5,
saying.
he's disappointed because it's not 5.
They already know what our regulations are, Ben ain't gonna want the regular regulations if it was 0, just do whatever you want. But 80 is ridiculous from the beginning, I think.
Well, at least we agree on that.
We
Alright. Yeah. Recreational vehicle campground. Well, I might change my mind on 10 now.
Too
Well,
Can't beat it to death.
so
Recreation.
recreational vehicle campground, an area used for transient occupants by camping in tents, camp trailer, travel trailers, motorhomes, or similar movable or temporary sleeping quarters of any kind, 2 spaces per campsite for parking. Minimum lot size shall be 20 acres. All activities are confined to an area of at least 500 feet from any lot line where topographical conditions are such that they provide a visual screen and noise buffer. The Planning Commission may modify this requirement during site plan review. Each campsite not solely occupied by a tent shall be at least 2,000 square feet in size. Each campsite or cabin shall be provided with individual water and sewage hookups provided by the health department or appropriate regulatory body, or have convenient access to approved service buildings. Campgrounds and youth camps shall not be used as prison or detention facilities for the detention of either juvenile or adult persons held by local, county, state, or federal authorities. Campgrounds shall receive approval from the state of Michigan and meet all ongoing requirements to maintain state license. That was the minimum lot size for this being 20 acres was the only reason to say that private recreational maybe should match that, because then you have the future potential for recreational campground. Because they're going to have similar types of facilities.
I would say, why can't it be 10 acres though? Again, it would depend on the scale of the campground. You want to build 20-site campground, you could very comfortably do 10 acres. You want to build 500, you're going to need more than 20 anyhow.
I think, though, it has historically been 20 acres, and I think on this one, I just don't.
I would be more inclined to go to a higher acreage for a campground rather than lower. I mean, leave it at 20 or take it to 30 or 40. I mean,
Oh, hold on a minute. Let me check one thing
the
here.
difference between, you're talking about a park recreation or campground. There's quite a bit of difference.
Now, okay, so this is a commercial type use, but because of the nature of what it is, we have it listed as special land use in AFR only. It's not in commercial, and the private recreation park is special land use in AFR only. It is not permitted anyplace else. So it's a commercial type activity, but the intensity of use is different. But it is a special land use permit in AFR for both private recreation park and recreational vehicle campground.
Should that be in the description?
What do you mean?
The AFR referred to?
Well, no, if you're doing this, you're looking at what the zoning districts are in the table of uses, and then that directs you to these other additional design standards and definitions.
So that's in the wrong category then?
It's not necessarily in the wrong category, it's just,
I thought we were doing commercial.
Yeah, I thought.
well, it is a
Being
commercial.
treated as commercial, but it's being allowed in AFR.
It's a commercial, yeah, it's a commercial type activity, and this is where Alex and the other guy had said, like, you got to remember there's a level of intensity of use, and like a gas station and a repair facility and all that is a higher intensity of use potentially than like a recreational facility. Now, like an RV park, you're gonna have people in and out, but generally it's not a bunch of generally it's not a bunch of banging around, but you got kids running around and activities and all that kind of stuff. But
Bands playing till 2 in the morning.
Yep, you betcha.
What was the difference?
Again-
Why did
It's a different ordinance that you're talking about.
Why did Vassar Township turn down the park out there on Washburn? On this side of Washburn is Vassar, on the other side is Fremont Township. They allowed it, but we didn't. I don't know what the difference would be. Why?
Did we, not allow it?
I don't remember coming to us.
Was
never-
He wanted to do it there,
That's
not
when,
Kim Vaughn did it.
right,
Well, Kuzma had it
Kuzma owned
first. Kuzma owned all that, and he
Warwick
never.
wound up buying it because the park couldn't get it for some reason, because they couldn't put the park in.
Where the
Where
lake is,
Where Kuzma's is, he's right, they wanted to buy that, over there.
I don't remember coming to us on the planning
No,
commission.
That was a long time ago. I mean,
Long
it was.
time ago.
Yeah,
Years ago.
right.
Yeah, but you and I were on the planning commission, and I don't remember that coming
And,
up.
and it didn't come to us, but I do know through the grapevine, cause I knew Chuck Vaughn, when he's over in Carroll and he wanted to do this and come back over and get that. And that was after old man Kuzma had died, and before Worth had bought it.
Long before.
I just didn't know
Yeah, long
the reason
before.
for that is,
Oh,
was stipulated in here. I didn't know if it was.
I don't think there's any stipulations that's in this that would have prevented them from
It
using
never
that.
come to us for a vote, so I don't know.
It could have, that could have just been the person that owned the property on this side of,
Give them a better deal.
He was,
didn't wanna sell that parcel, they only wanted to sell the other parcel or
That's
whatever.
not what I heard back then, but it could be. I just heard that they wanted out both sides at once.
well, Kuzma only owned the one side,
Well,
I could have swore at the time Vaughn started, he owned both.
huh?
I thought Vaughn owned both, when it came time, when he built the campground.
but that could have also been part of the
Or
problem,
maybe he was trying to
because,
buy it and didn't buy it. or-
because they would have had to have followed two different zoning ordinances if they would have put it to where it was either side of the road, so then one had to operate independently of the other.
I
Anyway,
just don't remember it ever coming to us, so I don't think it ever came up, maybe someone
Anyway,
kiboshed it before it got here.
that's speculative of whatever, it's not what we're looking at.
Literally water under the road there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I
wouldn't argue about the 20 acres, because if you're
Yeah.
gonna build a campground, you're probably not gonna wanna build a smaller one right now
Yeah.
anyhow. They're gold mountains, so you probably
Yeah.
want more than 20 acres.
The only, what was it each? I mean, the only thing that I would argue maybe against is that it almost sounds like each site has to have not full hookup, but close to full hookup, because it's almost, at least the way I interpret it is it's saying that each campsite will have individual water and sewer hookup.
Right. They don't say the words or accessible to a dump station.
I
They
mean, it does
it's
say
approved
or
service
have-
building.
Or have
Or have
access.
convenient access to approved service buildings. So is that how they're getting around it? Is that because it's saying or have convenient access to approved service buildings? You know, cause I know a couple of, one place that my folks stay, there is no sewage there, but there's like one stand water pipe per like 6 or 7 lots.
And you start seeing people put the splitters.
Yeah.
And then usually they have a dump station on site
Right.
when you're leaving.
That's
the
gotta
dump
be,
field.
that's gotta be what is covering it, or have convenient access to approved
And then
service.
they have like shower and bathhouses.
Yeah, that's gotta be what's
I
covering it.
assume that's what it meant.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on that one? Cause I mean, then the state of Michigan is the final on that. If not, restaurants, establishment for serving food and beverages for consumption, 1 space per 4 seats, plus 1 space per employee on the largest working shift. Restaurants may have a drive-through as an accessory use, however, restaurant must comply with all applicable drive-through ordinance standards in that case. Adequate provision must be made for safe storage, use, and disposal of all hazardous substances. Their example is cooking oils, and then see section 5.021, which is the drive-through, is part of the drive-through standard. Anything on that? If not, retail business up to 40,000 square foot, sale or rental with incidental service of commonly used goods and merchandise of personal or household use, 1 space for each 300 square foot of usable floor space, and then no additional design standards. Retail business, 40,000 square feet or greater, same definition. Now it is 400, one space for 400 square foot of usable floor space, and then none for additional design standards. Anybody issues on that? If not, small engine repair and service. Repair and service of small motors, engines, and other similar mechanical repair, excluding automobile repair and service. Examples include lawnmowers, snow blowers, power washers, and gas trimmers. One space for each 300 square foot of usable floor space. See outdoor storage and open air business or sales lot if relevant. Anybody with issues on that? If not, then the next page. Temporary outdoor sales, temporary outdoor retail operations, including but not limited to farmers markets, seasonal sales of holiday related items. There's your tree farm then. Or other similarly related sales occurring outdoors, semi-annual sales of art or handcrafted items in conjunction with community festivals or art shows, sidewalk or parking lot sales as determined by the planning commission for parking. The use of a lot for temporary outdoor sales must not impact the required number of parking spaces for the principal use. Hours of operation shall be the same as those of the principal use. Anybody with anything on that? If not, then the vehicle
Should we add
sales.
they're allowed to have string lights?
It,
Or whatever.
it doesn't, the design standard doesn't
Okay, I was doing-
exclude it. Vehicle sales, an establishment engaged in the sale, rental, or leasing of new or used automobiles, vans, recreational vehicles, boats, trucks, or similar vehicles. One space for each 100 square foot of usable floor area of the sales room, plus one for each auto service stall in the service areas, plus one per employee on the largest working shift. The lot or area shall be provided with a permanent, durable, and dustless surface, and shall be graded and drained as to dispose of all surface water accumulating within the area. Ingress and egress to the outdoor sales area shall be at least 60 feet from right-of-way intersection of any two streets. And then see section 7.24, which is the screening and landscaping.
So another question I have there is about the parking again. One space for each 100 square feet for vehicle sales. That seems like a lot.
For floor area of the sales room.
Right. That's, I mean, the only example we have around here is Cook's.
Right.
There'd be a lot of extra parking spots, and that one certainly does not happen. If you count where he parks cars for sale, if you don't, you got a lot more than you need there.
I mean,
100
because
square
there's
feet
a,
is-
well, but remember that's a dual use area, so you're also getting some credit for the service because it's all one unit. So some of your, you're sharing some parking space. I bet you they do have enough spaces, like if you really got down to.
I'm not saying they don't have enough. I've never seen it be a major problem. You just have to park a little far because they do it along the building.
Right,
That's the only place they have the public parking for the sales lot.
right.
And theoretically, that's also for service because most people park there to go through the building. There's the other door on the other side for service technically.
Well, and also keep in mind this is for usable.
And its own living room too.
This is usable floor area of the sales room. So, like, this is where they have the cars parked, not necessarily the offices that are around the edge of that and all that. So it's like basically just that floor area where they occasionally show cars inside.
Usable floor area of the sales room.
It's
So you're
not
talking about little
including.
cubicles
It's
where
not.
they sell cars.
That's not include. I think you're.
It's not talking
you're
about the
excluding.
showroom.
Yeah, you're excluding the areas where the offices and all that is. It's just that little show floor there in the front, in that front glass area. I think is, if you were talking about that.
I don't know, it
Yeah.
just seems to me like one for every 100 square feet seems to be a lot, but I guess it depends on how you divide the area.
Yeah.
My question is the dustless surface.
Well, yeah. 'Cause we've always-
Permanent, durable, and dust. I mean, you're talking about a car lot.
Right. Would any of
Well,
these
we've always
guys,
allowed even the crushed gravel and stuff
Right.
like that. We don't want sand.
limestone
There
or,
you go,
yeah,
that was the word. I don't know if that matters in this one or not.
I mean, do we have any vehicle sales where it is just crushed?
Well, we did, but they're not there anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was out there on 15. Candelas used to run that one.
Well, there was another one across the street, and then there was another one farther down this that got approved for, but never did it.
Yeah.
And it was all gravel.
I mean, I would rather go with a permanent durable and surface, because you're generally vehicle sales, I mean, other than like these couple of folks, like when you're talking about 15, I mean, generally you're talking about a bigger area.
Well, even Cooks, though, if you look at that, where Leo's gas station used to be, he's selling all them cars there, it's crap.
The used lot?
You know,
Yeah.
Well,
That's all gravel.
Stone Creek,
So, whatever.
big difference.
But it still wouldn't meet this ordinance, though.
Well, the whole thing is, you shouldn't have to blacktop it, or you shouldn't have to cement it, as long as it's not putting out dust. And your limestone and your other stuff properly taken care of, will not put out dust.
Alright.
I thought that's what that's classified as dust, so I don't know. You know.
So lot area shall be provided with an approved, with an appropriate surface. I mean,
Dust free. I don't know.
well, I don't know that, I mean, I don't know that.
Dust resistant? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, technically, an asphalt parking lot's gonna have a lot of dust too if you never sweep
you
it.
can never clean it.
It's gonna build up with a lot of sand and gravel, dirt. Then the next guy drives through makes a cloud.
You know, don't sweep out your garage and drive your truck in there for a year, see what happens if it's dusty.
I know we've came up with this argument before, because the way that it's worded, we interpret it to mean it had to be concrete or asphalt, and we varied that to allow for the
Well, here, how about
process
this?
road gravels and.
Subject to our.
How about this? Shall be, how about we just remove that, because there's other areas that define, like for industrial use and all that, for the parking area. And it's just, it shall be graded and drained so as to dispose of all surface water accumulated within the area. And then we just use what is defined for acceptable parking for the other surfaces.
Is that its own separate category somewhere?
I do believe it is, yeah.
So you could just reference that.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't even need to reference it. The only other design standard is that the additional would be that the lot shall be graded and drained so as to dispose of all surface water accumulated within the area. That would be the additional design standard.
I'm good with that.
We could regulate it, not come to us on
Yeah.
our permit.
Good with
too,
that.
but
Gloria?
So the lot area and get rid of all that.
Yeah, the lot or area shall be graded and drained so as to dispose of any surface water accumulated within the area.
Yep.
Okay. Remove.
So you're removing the word provided? Is that the first word you're removing?
Shall be provided with a permanent, durable,
Yeah.
and dustless surface. Cause you see where it starts with the other, it says shall be.
Shall be provided with, I'm just gonna shorthand this with perm. And dust less surface, okay. Alright.
So you're taking out the dustless?
take it out.
Yeah, permanent, durable, and dustless surface.
Okay.
And then, okay, so anything else in that section? If not, veterinary clinic, establishment for the care and treatment of small animals, including household pets, one space for each 50 square foot of usable floor area in the waiting rooms, and one for each one for each examination room or similar area. Overnight boarding is not permitted. See commercial kennel.
I don't know if I agree with that though either.
Well, it would depend on how they're defining overnight boarding, so. I
Sometimes
think
you take your pet
when
in,
they're-
they've gotta stay overnight.
Yeah.
Well, but I think that's why they're specifically saying refer to commercial kennel. Cause what I believe the intent is, the overnight boarding is, like, you can't bring your perfectly healthy dog there because they offer overnight boarding just because they have,
Yeah, I'm going on
Cages
vacation,
available,
take care of my dog for a week, yeah.
yeah,
I don't understand that, but I just think that it's gotta specify some cases in there, cause I just had my dog in there, and the emergency, and luckily they were open late enough to get him in, but.
yeah, I mean, we'd have to figure out how to word it better, but I do believe because they say see commercial kennel, the overnight boarding is specifically referring to situations where it's not holding the animal overnight for medical treatment.
It's not medical,
I wonder if you
Yeah.
put it in there like that, not,
not medical,
right,
it's pretty quick, pretty easy,
yeah.
but.
Unless medically necessary.
Excludes medically necessary or something, I don't know exactly, but.
Excludes, medically necessary, overnight boarding.
Have we got a rental going on next door or something?
Yeah, somebody's in there, they're looking at it, he's gonna rent it for a wedding or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excludes medically necessary overnight boarding.
There you go.
Okay, so then we'll leave off at industrial uses. On page 41. Okay. So any public comment? If not, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned at 8:47.
Who seconded?
Todd did. And I just messaged Sarah to let her know so that we're done. But I don't know when she'll get it turned off.
This could be interesting, we go back later trying to decipher the notes that I wrote. It's like, I'm left-handed.
And you can't